So the two that helped out the kids, the ones that helped out Ray and Emma, they are not human. In all honesty, I expected at the very least one of them to be non-human, more like a demon, and I expected mainly the main male one, the one that has a Norse mythology reference, I expected that one to be a demon or look like a demon, while the other one, which was the girl, most likely was a human. But from what we found out, apparently both of them are definitely not human at all, because there's some obvious things in this chapter that point out that they're definitely not human, and Ray picked up on. Number one, the girl that is like a girl, she looks human because we get to see like her face and all that. You see to where when she tries to shake hands, she doesn't showcase her hands at all. She has them covered. She actually is just shaking hands for her clothing. So she's not allowing, you know, Ray and Emma to see what her hands look like. So for all we know, she might not have a proper hand. It could look like a demon, or maybe it's like shaped like a regular human hand, but it's a different color, or it has like, I guess, claws or whatever all over it. Maybe just it looks different. So the person, the girl, doesn't want to show her hand. Or maybe there's something else. Maybe she cut off fingers or something. Maybe she just doesn't want to freak out the children or something. That's also a possibility. Regardless, though, that was one thing to really point out that there's definitely something shady going on there, if you already didn't know that definitely something's weird. I mean, these two popped out of nowhere to save these children. That just is very shady after everything we've seen thus far from this world, and how it's basically working against the children, trying to devour them. You know, the plants and all that are trying to kill them. You have it to where there's other demons out there. We don't know exactly how, you know, humans are out there, how many there are. We don't know if there's other demon societies, other human societies. We really don't know, and so it's very shady that of all places, you know, these two pop up and they save the children. And so it made it even more shady when it was stated that they don't even know who William is. When they didn't even know who William is, or they weren't his allies, it automatically rung some bells. You're like, okay, so obviously these people are not working with him, so this is a different faction entirely. And they're obviously not working with our main faction from the plantation, so they're something else. We don't really know who they are. They're probably a rival faction or something, organization that's also a part of the market, just like, you know, the farm where our kids came from, which I will get into. But the big point is, throughout this entire chapter, there's things that were constantly popping up that were just showing something very odd and suspicious was happening. For one, the girl, the way she didn't show her hands. Another thing, too, as well, with the dude that saved, you know, Ray, the dude didn't have his face shown at all. I mean, last chapter, we didn't even get to see his face at all. We didn't even get to see his hand and all that. His hand looked like the shape of a regular person, but the way they look overall, because they're covered, they could possibly look a little bit different. They may be claws or something, so most likely, you know, he's also a demon. And also all those other little details of how they're in a cave, which is very, very weird too. So let's talk about that one for a second. So I want to point out that Ray and Emma, they're in a cave. Now, many might not have clicked together the pieces here and realized what that means, but let me kind of explain. Think about 5 chapters ago, okay? Let's go back 5 or so chapters ago. We had to where our kids were in a situation to where they fell down in a hole, and then, you know, this plant was like a Venus flytrap that was trying to eat them. It was like this giant-ass plant just devouring, you know, creatures and stuff, dogs and all of that. And so it was a dangerous part of this ecosystem. And they were like, holy crap, we gotta get out of here. And it was trying to lure in the children down the pathway to get over to it to where it can just feast on them and devour them. Well, throughout this entire chapter, if you look at the setting, the walls, to the ceiling, to the ground, to the wildlife, and all that, the bugs, it's very similar to where Emma, Ray, and all the other kids fell into the hole and they almost got devoured by the plants. Look, one big thing that indicated this that was very obvious was the glowing flowers. Now, those little glowing flowers that were being used as a lantern and all that for the children, Ray and Emma, for them to be able to see throughout the tunnel, those flowers were found right near where the Venus flytrap was that tried to eat the children. Seriously, go back 5 or 6 chapters, when you see the kids enter that big opening and all that, where, you know, the plant tried to eat them, you'll see how they're looking at flowers and all like, oh, that's pretty and all that, and they get up close to the tree or this root or whatever, and you see the flowers all around it. So these flowers only grow in that area. It only grows around, you know, that plant. And so for these people to have those type of flowers, automatically something's ringing there. Like, okay, so that would mean that they would have to get close to this type of creature, because obviously it would have to be living for these type of things to grow, because it has to lure in its prey. So these flowers that they're getting has to be close to one of these Venus flytraps. And since they're being led down a tunnel further and further, this could be a trap to where they're devoured by it or something. And that's why Ray was kind of very curious or thrown off, because when he saw those flowers and he looked at it, it, you know, rung a bell in his head. He's like, wait a minute, these are the flowers that were in that room when we almost got killed, all of us, by that plant. So, yeah, I just wanted to point out, that's why Ray looked at the flower, the glowing flowers, like he was really shocked for a second, because it all clicked, and the tunnel and all that with roots and everything, they're being led, obviously, to his destination. Now, I don't know exactly what this could mean, but clearly there's something more off here than what we know. Now, I don't know exactly how far the writer wants to take this series in terms of fantasy or supernatural, but one of the big things that came to my mind, because we don't really know what type of genres and stuff that, you know, this writer wants to throw in, because, I mean, for all we know, our children could eventually get power up and super strength and shit to fight demons face to face with their fist, or that can never happen. We don't really know where the writer wants to take the series. For all we know, this can also enter into space travel as well, because our children could be on a completely different planet than they know of, and eventually they're gonna have to do space travel. I mean, that's something the writer could actually do, honestly. It makes sense, because we don't really know much about the world at all. And so, for what I was assuming when I was reading this chapter, what if those two people, you know, the boy and the girl and all that, what if they're a part of the plant? Like, they're life forms from the plant. Now, hear me out, okay? Like I said, we don't know everything about this world. There's just so many mysteries. We don't know what type of wildlife and stuff is out there. But let's think about it like this, okay? Think about what the plant was trying to do to the children. It was trying to lead them down a certain select path where it can devour them, okay? So, basically, it's a plant that has a certain thing like a Venus flytrap. It wants to lead in its prey. Or like an anglerfish, okay? Think of an anglerfish as well. It dangles a little light down, and then when a fish gets over to look at it in the darkness, it devours that fish. And so it could be something like this. What if these two people are actually connected to the Venus flytrap plant? What if they're connected in some way and they're just leading the children over to get devoured? That's something that could be a possibility. Who knows? I mean, let's look at the girl's actual design, like her overall clothing. Her clothing looks like leaves. It looks like leaves. I mean, look at her dress, pay real close attention to it. It looks like leaves are overlapping each other. So she could be some form of plant underneath, or the dude could be as well, and they're just taking a humanoid type shape just to trick the children into leading them into a false sense of security for it can devour them. That is a thing. That could probably be a thing, but like I said, we don't know where the writer wants to take this. For all we know, maybe the Venus flytrap they have is dead or something, and maybe they had it to where it no longer is living, and maybe they're just, you know, setting up camp in one of them. I mean, that could be a thing too as well. But for now, though, the cave, the overall location is definitely set to where what happened to children 5 or 6 chapters ago, where they almost got killed. So now that we got the setting, we know where the children are. The question is, where is the other kids? Because clearly, they're not there around. There's no noise, you don't hear anything, and that's what even Ray said, he doesn't hear anything, which is very suspicious too. For all we know, the children could already be dead, because if these two actually are connected to the plant, maybe these children have already been fed to the plant. Who fucking knows? Or the children could be fine. Like I said, just this writer loves throwing curveballs. I've said that many times in the past. This writer can go any direction. We don't really know where the series can go at any given moment, which is why I think so many of us love this series, because you really don't know what to expect at all in any given chapter. But there is actually only one thing we can expect, and that would be cliffhangers. Cliffhanger central. Like, you should always expect a cliffhanger in this series to where you're like, fuck, I want to know, and you just gotta wait till next week. If there's one thing this writer knows what to do, it's definitely those cliffhangers. Like, those cliffhangers definitely make you want to read the next chapter and find out what is about to happen next. So yeah, anyways, big thing here is these two demons. Obviously, they're demons or plants, one or the other. Are they on our children's side? That is the question. Clearly, they have some form of intelligence, because even if they are part of the plant, clearly they have intelligence. I mean, they're able to speak with the children, they're able to, you know, kind of understand the meaning of shaking hands, or, you know, understanding emotions of, oh, you need to get better here, you know, you need to get healthier. I mean, there's different things like that. So, even if they are the plant, they might not necessarily be bad or something, because for them to actually take care of Emma and Ray, and actually nurse them back to health and all that, it just shows that clearly they have an understanding. They're intelligent, and yeah, so they clearly don't mean absolute harm. I mean, they wouldn't go that far. The only thing I could see here, honestly, is a Hansel and Gretel situation. That's basically what this feels like right now. Leading the kids down a path in a false sense of security, and then they're going to eat, they're going to get better, and then they're going to devour them. I mean, we don't really know much about the outside world. For all we know, there could be other rival factions of our main farm that our children escape from. I mean, go figure. It's kind of like, you know, how our real society is. When you think about, you know, restaurants, fast food restaurants, malls, whatever, there's always different chains, different organizations that are always competing. In this case, there has to be something like that. For the demons to be selling human meat and all that to others, and high quality goods at that, let's just say they're the organic brand, there could be other organizations that are selling some form of meat as well, and they're trying to make money, or do whatever they need to do. We don't know necessarily how the Society of Demons work, but there could most likely be competing factions for products, goods, humans, and all of that, and that may be what they're doing. They're trying to get these children to, you know, fall in line, like, hey, come with us and all that, and then they're going to drag them to their farm, and then they're going to have their own high-quality goods. That is a potential possibility. I mean, who knows? It's kind of like this, too. If they are a part of a rival farm, it's kind of like getting a secret ingredient, a secret formula, to be able to understand how your rival makes things. Okay, so let's go in a little bit deeper to kind of explain this a bit. So, imagine a burger, like, okay, is made a certain way, and this restaurant makes this burger very special. There's a secret ingredient, and the way it's made is just so detailed, and there's something in it that makes it just so delicious, and nobody can resist that burger, okay? And the other rival company, obviously, they know about, you know, supposedly they have a secret formula, it's very good, they're making a lot of money, but they're jealous. They're like, we want that. We definitely want that, but we just can't get it. And all of a sudden, for some reason, that burger ends up in their hands, and they're able to analyze it, figure out how it's made, and then they can make that product for themselves, or make an even better product. Maybe that's what these demons are trying to do. Maybe they're grabbing the children before they can figure out how they're made, and then they can make their own. Because remember, from what we know, these children are basically test tube babies. I mean, they were given to the mothers, they had them and all that, and they were just bred in a way to where obviously they would have some high intelligence. So maybe they want to get their hands on these kids before they can have their own livestock to breed, and then they can have their own to devour and sell off in the future. That could also be a thing. So I just wanted to point that out, that clearly there could be a bigger long-term goal here that they're trying to do. Maybe they're trying to be nice, to lead them to where they need to go, and then they're going to use them to probably set up their own farm or something. Who knows? So anyways, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I love you all so much. You have a wonderful day or night wherever you live. Please be safe. Chibi out.